Hey friends, for today's recipe, we are going to start with preheating the oven to 400 degrees. And keep in mind, this is a recipe we've never tried. So, you need a can of tomatoes. Actually, I'm going to put all of the ingredients and directions in the description box. So, taco seasoning, a can of tomatoes, a can of corn, Jiffy cornbread mix. This egg is just for the cornbread. This is after, and it calls for a different type of cheese, so you can pretty much do whichever type of cheese you like the best. So I've tried to get everything out. This is just a 2-quart baking dish. That's what the recipe calls for, so just keep that in mind if you decide to make more. So let's get started. We're going to start by crumbling up the beef. And the recipe calls for, I think it's like 1.5 pounds, but this is what we have left over. So we're just going to use that. And the good thing about this is that the meat and the cornbread all mix together. So it is just kind of like a one-pan type meal. That's the plan, to see how quick we can kind of throw this together. So the recipe actually calls for tomato paste, but I don't have any tomato paste, so we are going to use just crushed tomatoes. Let me scoot the meat out of the way. We'll use this bowl and drain 1 can of corn. And then I'm actually using the petite diced tomatoes in tomato juice, and I'm going to leave the juice in the tomatoes. So hopefully, now let's drain a little bit, just in case. I don't want it like super runny. So we'll add that. And then we will do 1 pack of taco seasoning mix. And you can also use the reduced sodium. Sometimes I get that, it just depends. And like I said, be sure to look over the recipe, because you can always alter some of that stuff. Some of the stuff that's in the recipe I'm actually leaving out. So we're going to give this a stir. And just kind of mix all of that up and get the taco seasoning mixed up in there. This to the side for just a second while I make the Jiffy, and you just prepare it per the instructions here. So let's see, we need 1 egg and 1/3 cup of milk. And I always squish it up like this because it's always kind of chunked up. Let me get some scissors. Egg. And I've lost my dish towel somewhere, so we'll use a paper towel. 1/3 cup of milk. Oh, I didn't realize I got, nah, that's fine. 1/3. We're big on eyeballing here. 1/3 cup of milk. And mix this up. And I'm keeping this real time just so you guys can see how long it actually takes to throw together. And then you can decide for sure if it's something you could do on a weeknight, or if it would be more of a a weekend type thing. But and then you'll check in the directions if you decide to use the onions. You'll put so much of that into this, but we're not real big on the onions. And I mainly want to try this out like this first and then kind of tweak things later, because I think it called for peppers too, and we're not going to use the peppers. So we have that ready. Okay, now we're going to pull this back over here. I'm just kind of been letting that sit and soak in the flavor. And we pour this. And I'm actually going to mix about half of it up before I pour the rest. So I figure I'd smooth this down just to help it bake a little even. So now, and so far got this put together, and the oven's not even preheated, so it's kind of looking like this is a pretty quick meal. Definitely worth trying once anyway.